Next up, we'll look at make or buy decisions. Sometimes managers have to decide if they're going to make a part that goes into their product or if they're going to buy it from an outside supplier. For example, if you produce lawnmowers, you might decide whether you want to make the motor or buy the motor from another company. This largely depends on if you have excess capacity and what you would like to do with that excess capacity. These make or buy decisions, where you are deciding whether to make or buy a component part, this is often called outsourcing. You want to make sure you consider the opportunity cost, because when we have idle capacity, we have to decide what the best use for that capacity will be. Should we produce a part? Should we start a new product line? Expand production of another product line? If the part is made, variable costs will generally change and fixed costs may or may not. This cost behavior is the underlying theme behind these short-term, non-routine decisions. Now, in the make or buy decisions, you want to choose the lowest cost alternative to maximize profit. Essex Company is presently making a part that is used in one of its products. The unit product cost is direct materials, $9 per unit, direct labor, $5, variable manufacturing overhead, $1, supervisor's salary, $2, general factory overhead, $10, total unit product cost, $27 per unit. The costs above are based on 20,000 parts produced each year. An outside supplier is offered to provide the 20,000 parts for only $24 per part. You can see why management is considering this offer. Right now, it's costing them $27 to make the part, and they can buy it for $24, offering a savings, or so it appears. Common costs are allocated on the basis of direct labor hours. If the part is purchased, the released facilities could be used to generate a profit of $80,000. If the facilities are used for this purpose, general factory overhead will be reduced by 20%. So the last part of this problem is saying, if we decide to go ahead and buy the part from an outside supplier, we'll release some of our capacity and we'll be able to produce another product or take on a special order or some other alternative that will have a profit of $80,000. We will also be able to reduce our facilities costs by 20%. Should this offer be accepted? Let's take a look at each of the costs and identify what is relevant. The direct materials of $9, the direct labor of $5, and the variable overhead of $1 are all relevant. These will all be incurred if you make the part, and they will not be incurred if you decide to buy the part. I'll combine these to be $15 per unit. The supervisor's salary will change. You won't have the supervisor's salary if you decide to buy the part. You don't need someone to supervise the purchase of the part, and if you have a supervisor for the alternate use, that would have been factored in to the $80,000 of profit you would get. Now, the general factory overhead, we were told that this could be reduced by 20%, so $8 will remain. So part of that is relevant. Now, if we look at this on the total cost approach, I'm going to just itemize each of the factors that would be considered, starting with the purchase price. If we buy the part, it will cost us $24 for each of the 20,000 parts, or $480,000 in the buy column. We will not incur this cost if we make the part. Next up, the variable manufacturing costs. This $15 per unit will be incurred on each of the 20,000 units if we decide to make the part. The supervisor's salary will be incurred if we make the part. It will not be incurred if we buy the part. General overhead, I have $200,000 in the make column and $160,000 in the buy column. To make the part, we were told that it cost $10 for each of the 20,000 parts. If we buy the part, we're told that we'll use the facilities for an alternate product line, and we can reduce this cost by 20%. So $8 times 20,000 is $160,000. Last, we need to consider the opportunity cost. If we make the part, we cannot generate the $80,000 of profit for the alternate use. Now you may want to make a note. You could add this opportunity cost of $80,000 to the make column, or you could reduce the buy column by $80,000. Effectively, you would be saying we will generate $80,000 of profit if we buy the part and reduce the cost of buying by that profit amount. The total cost to make the part is $620,000. The total cost to buy the part is $640,000. Now these are the costs that you would use to evaluate the decision. They are not necessarily how things would be recorded on the books. But the bottom line is you can make the parts and save $20,000. What other factors could influence this decision? We've seen how accounting plays in, but of course management is an art, not a science. They'll use the accounting information to determine profitability, but they'll also consider product quality. Can they produce as good a motor as their supplier, or is it better than their supplier's motor? Relationship with suppliers, if you're considering doing this just for the short term to use up capacity, you do want to make sure you don't damage your supply chain, and so you might want to look at alternate uses if that is going to be a factor. Also, the dependability of the supplier. Have you had trouble with shipping times and cancellation of orders and that sort of thing? So a lot goes into these decisions.